Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you are safe and I hope you are well. Now, at the time of recording, we are still under the coronavirus lockdown. It's about 5 or 6 weeks in now, I think, and getting a little bit stir crazy if I'm honest. Haven't seen anyone for that time, but it is allowing me time to do you some nice videos to record some things that are hopefully of interest to you. I want to do another one today which will hopefully be useful because at the moment under lockdown, because we can't go out, we can't go to restaurants and things like that, we're having to take advantage of home delivery a lot, whether that's food shopping or takeaway, because a lot of places have had to shut, but they're doing takeaway now, so we're probably all taking advantage of takeaway and getting some nice food delivered to us without having to take the time or having to worry about having the stuff in the cupboards. Now, one thing I do imagine that people are getting delivered to them a lot is pizza, because we all love pizza. Who doesn't like pizza? If you don't like pizza, you are wrong, sir or madam. And whether we're under lockdown or not, we love getting pizza delivered to us. It's just one of the ultimate comfort foods for a weekend. But whether you're sick of takeaway pizza or you don't want to spend 10, 15, 20 quid each time just to get pizza, then there are ways for you to make it at home. And today I want to show you 3 ways of making pizza at home of varying levels of difficulty and time that they take. So we are going to be doing it 3 ways today. Pizza 3 ways. What's better than pizza once? What's better than pizza twice? It's 3 ways. I'm going to be showing you a way that literally takes 5 minutes. I'm going to be showing you a way where you have to make the dough yourself, but you only need 2 ingredients. And then I'm going to be showing you the full-on making everything yourself, making the sauce, making the dough, and just making beautiful pizza at home. So they're all varying levels of difficulty and time, but that means that anyone can make pizza at home in any way that they want. So I'm going to show you all of those right now, and that means I get pizza 3 times. So the first way that we're going to make pizza might piss off a few Italians, but I'm afraid we're going to have to live with that today because we are doing it from convenience, and this is brilliant because if you don't have any time and you've got 0 F's to give, then this is the way to do it because we are going to be using tortilla wrap. Now you may think that's absolute sacrilege, but what better to use than something that's already nice and flat, bready, and can be cooked super quickly. So we are going to be using those to make a super quick tortilla pizza. I can visibly hear the eyelids twitching on every Italian out there right now. Right, this first one may be hard pressed to call it a pizza, but if you want something with all the characteristics of a pizza, but absolutely 0 time or F's to give, then this is for you. So you're going to take a tortilla wrap, ready to go. It's round, and it's rounder than anything I'll ever be able to create. We're going to pop on some passata. This is one with basil in it, so it's already got an extra kick of flavour, but you can just use plain passata. You just want a thin layer, otherwise it'll become too soggy. And we're going over with some Parmesan cheese, because this will be really quick to cook under the grill. That's Parmesan is amazing, and it will give us some really nice flavour on what is something really simple. And then we just go on with our pepperoni. You could use any toppings you like on any of these pizzas that we're making today, but we're going with classic pepperoni because it is the simplest to do. Well, actually a margherita would be the simplest to do, but let's not split hairs. So under the grill for 3 minutes, or until this is nice and golden and bubbly, it will go. Oh, and there we go. In probably what's less than the time it would take you to order on a website, we have a pizza, or a pizza. But if you want something that's so ridiculously simple and will satisfy a pizza craving in no time whatsoever, then what more could you do? It is literally minutes. It's about 5 minutes, if that. So look how good that looks. Super crispy, beautiful pepperoni. What more can you ask for? Well, you'll see on the next pizza. But for 5 minutes and no effort whatsoever, that is brilliant. Now for the second way that we're going to be making pizza, we're going to be making the dough, but don't worry, it's not going to take very long because we're going to be only using 2 ingredients. I did my fingers the right way around that time. So we are going to be just using flour and yogurt. So that is going to create us a dough that we are then going to cook in a pan. Now you can use a frying pan or you can use a cast iron skillet like what I've got. God, this thing is heavy. So that means we're going to be not having to faff around with putting things in the oven, and means we don't have to muck about leaving dough to rise. So this is going to be another nice quick one, not a lot more time than the first one, but you're going to get a more authentic base and a lot more flavour as well. Now for our next pizza, it's going to take a little longer, but not a lot longer, and we're going to need to make a dough, but it really couldn't be any easier because it's just 2 ingredients, and that is 225 grams of self-raising flour. Then in the middle I'm going to make a then I'm going to add in 225 grams of yogurt as well. Then I'm going to start bringing that together with a spoon. When it's at this point, I'm going to put it onto the surface with a little bit of dusting of flour. Get this out onto here, get into it so it becomes into a dough. So that's come together into a dough that's certainly a lot stickier than the normal pizza dough, but it will do the job. It's gonna still create a nice base for our pizza. So I'm gonna pop that back into the bowl until we're ready to use it. Right, next we're going to need our pan, which I've already oiled because it's not a non-stick pan. If you have a non-stick pan, you don't need to worry, but this is not non-stick, so I do need to worry. So I've oiled that well. And then I'm going to take our dough, which I've already started flattening out over here, and just pop it into our pan and just get this out to the edges. The best thing about this is that you can prepare this all in the pan. You can get this onto you can get all your toppings on in here and then just whack it onto the hob. And I did make a slight error in the intro. This does need to go in the oven, but only under the grill, so we're not baking it in the oven. And then I'm using the same passata as I did for our super simple tortilla pizza, using a bit more this time because it is a bit thicker, but we still don't want loads and loads and loads because it will make it too soggy. If you fancy mixing and matching, you can always make the sauce that we're going to make for our super duper pizza later on. But for now, this passata will do nicely because it's already got basil in it. Like before, we're going to add on some Parmesan cheese because Parmesan is great. Great, get it? That was totally not intentional either. But then we're kicking it up a notch with some grated mozzarella as well. You could use fresh mozzarella if you wanted to, but you would need to dry it out a lot before putting it onto the pizza, any pizza, because it is quite wet. And last but no means least, our pepperoni, because these are all Roni pizzas. Roni, I'm so Roni, ain't got nobody to call my own. And now this can go onto our hob at a medium heat, and we just need to heat this up slowly. We don't want to do it over a really high heat and whack it with so much heat that we end up charring the bottom and not cooking it through. So it needs to cook up for about 5 minutes over that heat before it goes under the grill for about another 5 minutes. Just to keep an eye on your pizza, try and get under it every now and again, make sure it's not sticking. Get it away from those edges. You might be able to see we're getting some colour under there now, so I'm getting this under the grill for about 5 minutes. Got my grill nice and high, and that is going under there for a good 5 minutes, or until it is nice and brown and bubbly on top. After about 5 minutes, you might be able to see how bubbly and golden and beautiful that is. So that is now ready to come out and cool down a bit because it's going to be so hot. Oh, look at that. How good does that look? Look how golden and bubbly and beautiful it is. Oh, and it smells so good. So that needs some time to cool down because the pan is hot and pizza is scaldingly hot. So I will burn my face if I try this. So we're going to let that cool down, but not before we finish it off with some nice fresh basil, because this is a level up from our basic pizza. And the third way we're going to be making pizza, it takes the longest because we're going to be making the dough from scratch and we're going to be making a sauce as well to go with it. But it means it's going to be full of flavour and you're going to get that nice authentic crisp pizza base. And for that I'm also going to be using a pizza stone like this one because it's going to get us a nice crisp base, but you don't have to use one of these if you don't have them. A baking tray will work just as well. And because this is going to be a more traditional pizza, it means I get to use this bad boy for the first time. Oh yes, I mean business. So this is going to be the authentic pizza experience. It's going to take the most time, but boy is it going to be worth it. Right, for our most authentic pizza, we're going to be making an authentic dough, but don't worry, it's still relatively few ingredients. So we're going to be needing 250 grams of pasta flour. That's the 00 flour. This is the best flour I find for making pizza dough. And we're going to need 7 grams of yeast on one side of the bowl and some salt on the other side, about 5 grams worth. Then we want about 25 millilitres of olive oil. I'm going to eyeball it. Then I'm going to hook this onto our stand mixer, start it on a relatively low speed, and I'm going to gradually add in 165 millilitres of water until it starts to come together into a dough. That's come into a dough that's quite sticky at the moment, but that's okay because we're going to now set it off on a medium speed for about 10 minutes to knead and to come into a nice smooth elastic dough. After 10 minutes of kneading, we've got a dough that's much more smooth and elastic, so we can pop this back into the bowl, which I've just cleaned, and then cover it up with some cling film, like so, and that can go into a warm place for about an hour to double in size. And while that's doing that, we can get on with our pizza sauce, which starts with some super duper really tasty extra jammy onions, much like we did for our red onion and feta tart a couple of weeks ago, or whenever I put that video up. Who knows what my schedule is at the moment? What is time? But to do these, we're going to start off with a very similar process. We're going to pop in a generous knob of butter into a pan. I'm also going to add in a dash of oil so the butter doesn't burn. And with the butter melted, I'm going to add in 1 onion. I'm using a plain old brown onion. You could use a red onion as well for extra sweetness, but this works perfectly. Then I'm going to pop on the lid and let those onions cook in that butter for about 10 minutes over a medium heat, stirring occasionally to make sure they don't burn. Right, after 10 minutes, those onions have become a lot softer and more translucent. So now we can do the next stage of getting them super sweet and jammy. I'm not going to do the rhyme again because you're probably sick of it already. So I'm going to add in a couple of tablespoons worth of brown sugar. That's light brown sugar. You could use dark brown sugar for a deeper flavour, but I am not because this is what I have. Then also a couple of tablespoons worth of balsamic vinegar as well, just to give it a bit of sharpness amongst all that sweet and jamminess. Mix that all in. You might think that's a heck of a lot of vinegar he's put in there, but there's a surprising amount of natural sugars in those onions, so it will all balance out. And that's what this sauce is all about, balance. I'm going to pop the lid back onto that for 5 minutes and then take it off and then cook it without the lid for another 5 minutes to let that reduce down and become super sticky and jammy. So after spending 20 minutes on our onions, we're ready to move on to the rest of the sauce, which is actually very, very quick. But don't worry, that is a lot of time to spend on onions, but believe me, it's worth it. They add so much flavour to our sauce, it's completely worth it, and the rest of it doesn't take very long at all. Right, for the next stage of our sauce, you're going to need a food processor, or a blender might do, and I am going to pop in our onions that we've just cooked. In they go, they're still nice and hot. Then I'm adding in a whole tin of chopped tomatoes, 2 cloves of garlic, 1, 2, a few leaves of fresh basil, and I'm also going to put in a splash of whole milk. Not a lot, but it helps, just takes away some of that acidity from the tomatoes. And of course some salt, because always season. And blitz up until nice and smooth. And there we have a lovely sauce for our pizza, and now we can leave this to cool down until we put it onto our pizza base, because then it stops our base from going soggy. So we can put this into a bowl and leave it until our dough is ready. Right, our dough has had an hour to rise and double in size, so I'm going to take this out of here and knock the air out at the same time. And I'm going to chop this in half because I may go do 1 pizza, and this should give you enough for 2 medium-sized pizzas or 1 large pizza. I don't need a large pizza today because I'm already making 3 pizzas. The other half you can always pop in the fridge and use another day. Then I'm going to throw down some semolina, because this will give us a little bit more texture on the base and also add a bit of crispness as well. Stretch this out as much as I can with my hands before getting stuck in with a rolling pin. And I like to finish it off by just turning it over in my hands like this to help stretch it out a bit more and help it get slightly rounder. I'm not quite adept enough at doing the whole tossing in the air thing. I am not an Italian chef, I'm not a pizza chef. I am still a bit of an amateur when it comes to these kinds of doughs. But that's a nice sized pizza. It's not quite round, but it's rustic, remember? Rustic. And the main thing is going to be big enough to go onto my pizza paddle. So I'm going to get some semolina onto here to make sure it comes off of here later. Try and get underneath it. Hooray, there we go. First time of using this, so that was quite good. Then we want a thin layer of our pizza sauce, not loads, because we don't want to make it too soggy. There's going to be loads there, so you can use it for another pizza. You could use it in a pasta if you want. It's got loads of uses. You could use it with meatballs, whatever you like. It's very, very, very versatile. Then we're going triple trouble on the cheeses, so I'm using some of the grated mozzarella from before. Then I'm using some grated mature cheddar, adding a bit of an English twist, but it adds so much flavour to it. And then finishing it off with some Parmesan as well. So this is a 3 cheese pepperoni pizza, because the pepperoni is going on last. And just arrange on a good amount of pepperoni. Then this is going into our oven at 220 degrees C for about 8 to 10 minutes. I've got that pizza stone in there already, and I'm going to try as carefully as I can to slide this onto here. There we go. In that goes for a good 8 to 10 minutes. Approximately 8 minutes later, our pizza can come out of the oven, and look at that. Look at the colour on that. You've got the pepperoni there, all the oils from that, all the cheeses, and a lovely crispy base. That is absolutely amazing. Get under that, tap that base. Oh yes, that is a crispy base. So that is ready. All it needs is some fresh basil on the top, just for a bit of freshness, because basil is great. And there we go, there is our authentic pizza. It's a little on the wonky side, but hey, so am I, so it doesn't matter. That looks great. So there we go, there is our last pizza, and it smells amazing. I can't wait to try it. Whew. There we go. Bit of a different finishing angle from usual because there's no way I'm going to be able to stand up there and hold all 3 of these pizzas at one go. But there we go, 3 pizzas, 3 different ways, all done in one afternoon in less than 2 hours by one person. So if you are after pizza one way or another, then you've got 3 options there of how to make pizza. You've got one that took about 5 minutes and is so quick and easy. You've got one that only needs 2 ingredients for the dough and needs about 20 minutes. And then you've got one that takes longer, but we're going to have such a great result from it because it's an authentic pizza. I'm actually dribbling at the thought of these. I'm so sorry. That's probably a sign for me to not muck about. I need to try each one of these. Oh no, 3 pizzas to myself. Whatever will I do? Don't worry, I won't eat them all today. But let's start off with this one. It's the simple one. It is our Tortilla Pizza. Probably something that's got all the Spanish people and Italian people raging for various different reasons. But you've got Parmesan cheese, you've got pepperoni, you've got passata, and you've got tortilla. It is a combination of lovely flavours. It's so thin and crisp, and it looks gorgeous. So I'm going to give this a try. Hopefully I'm in the shot. So, oh, yeah, that is beautiful. Get a full hit of that lovely Parmesan. Some of the pepperoni, a little bit of spice to it. Got just the right amount of tomato there, and a lovely thin, crisp base. There is nothing wrong with that at all. If you are hankering for a pizza and you have no time, and as I said before, 0 Fs to give, then this is perfect. Nothing wrong with that at all. Then we've got our 20-minute pizza. It is 2 ingredients in the dough. It looks fantastic. So let's give this a try as well. I'm going to take this bit here. Look how beautiful and fluffy that base is. It's really thick. It's pretty much a pan pizza in its essence. I know people from New York will probably disagree with that, but at its heart, it is kind of like that. So it looks really good. I'm going to give it a go. Still really hot. Oh, that is so good. That is so good. That base is so lovely and chewy. It's got a really good pour on it. Toppings are beautiful. You've got that cheese on there. Some of the sauce is soaked into the base as well. Not all the way through, so you've still got a crisp bottom. Look how well cooked that is. That is fantastic for the effort that's in it. It's so good. It's so good. Can I have another bit? That is great. But I'm not going to fill up on that because we've still got this one to go as well, and we're going to be hit with flavour in this. Look how good that looks. So thin and crisp, a beautiful base, semolina on the bottom to give it extra crispness, some fresh basil, homemade sauce. It's going to be packed with flavour, so it's only fair I give this a whirl as well. Oh yeah, straight away you get hit by that sauce. It's sweeter, it's tangier than any of the others, because it's homemade. It's got those onions in it. Sweet jammy onions give it so much flavour. Then you've got the 3 cheeses on it and that beautifully crisp base, and it's so good. Oh, that is so good. But whichever way you look at it, they are 3 really good ways of making pizza. By far, if you've got the time, make that one because it is a notch above the other 2 in terms of flavour. But they all fulfill a purpose. They are all so good in their own way. If you want something quick, then that is definitely the way to go, because if you've got literally no time at all, but you are hankering for pizza, give it a go. If you've got a bit more time, but minimal ingredients, then that is fantastic. That is so good. That base is so nice and fluffy. But if you do have the time, then I highly suggest you go for this one because the flavours are fantastic. It is so good. But you've got 3 great options there. So if you are fed up with takeaway pizza, or you want to have a go making it yourself, then give these a go. Give one a go, give all 3 a go. Why not? And I'm going to finish up now because I am sweating like a beast. It's so hot in here. It's a really warm day and I've had the oven on for like 2 hours. So I am going to go and enjoy one of these anyway. And I'll put the others in the fridge and I can have pizza for breakfast, lunch and dinner tomorrow. Why not? It's lockdown, who cares? But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. And if you have any other suggestions of things that I can try along these ways of different difficulties of different things, let me know. I'll give it a go. I'm more than willing to give it a try. I'm always open to new ideas. But I'm gonna go because it is so hot. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it useful, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, all that nonsense. Otherwise, stay safe and well, and I will see you next time on Big Friendly Grub. Bye.